101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is the author of the book My Unexpected Life, no other than Miss Jennifer Gasner.
Hi, Daniel. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Book 101, Miss Jennifer. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Sure. I grew up in Wisconsin. That's where the majority of the book takes place. At 17, I was diagnosed with a rare disease called Friedreich's ataxia. And the book really covers the first 10 years of my journey with that disease.
Miss Jennifer, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to the world. Can you walk us through the moment you first received your diagnosis? How did it impact your life and identity?
I was fairly kind of in the dark the moment it happened because I was 17 and my doctor actually spoke directly to my mother on the phone. We lived about 90 miles away from the doctor's office, so he just called my mother and spoke only to her. And when I found out, okay, I have this thing called Friedrich's ataxia, I felt a little relieved because I finally had an answer after a year or so of trying to figure it out. But there was one little caveat that confused me at first. He said that I could probably get some help through the Muscular Dystrophy Association. And this was 1990. Um, So the only thing I knew about the Muscular Dystrophy Association was the telethon, and that really didn't make sense to me because all of the people or Jerry's kids that were on the telethon were um, really sad and like they didn't have a future. So I was a little confused because I didn't think that was going to be me. But then we watched the Labor Day telethon and saw a boy or man with Friedrichs on the telethon. And
Hmm.
I did not know what to do from that point on.
Well, Miss Jennifer, we salute you for being brave to face your trials in life. How did you begin the journey from shock and fear to acceptance and transformation?
Uh, it was a long process. A lot of it was because my neurologist at the time told me I shouldn't let this interrupt any of my future plans. So I just felt determined to keep going on my course, and I had to make some adjustments along the way. But I was very kind of into the idea. I was always known for my smile, and so I just wanted to maintain that smile and keep smiling throughout the whole thing, even though it might have been difficult. So that was basically my experience until I ended up working for the Wisconsin Coalition of the Independent Living Centers. And that was when I discovered my identity and accepted my identity as a disability or as a disabled woman, because they really did not look at disability as a bad thing or something that needed to be fixed.
Miss Jennifer, what does finding balance mean to you in the context of living with the diagnosis?
So, ataxia in general is a loss of balance and coordination. So, that was what finding balance meant. Like finding my, I guess, also finding my place in in the world.
Indeed, finding your purpose in life on earth. How does your book explore the emotional side of illness beyond just a medical facts?
I think it really showcases how a teenager can feel, like the anxiety about dealing with a changing body in a time where you're probably the most self-conscious um, you you will ever be. And I really think it's uh, um, a good example of like how how the insecurities can really heighten with a diagnosis like this.
Indeed. Interesting, Miss Jennifer. So let's talk about the coping and resilience. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced emotionally and physically?
Oh gosh. Um, well, I was lucky enough to find a community of disabled people after I began to accept my identity, and they really helped me navigate this whole different culture that disability is really about, because it's a shift in mindset, and it's a, you know, something that I'm still unpacking to this day. So that definitely helped me a lot. And I was lucky when I started college. I guess I could pass as a normal person. I didn't use any assisted devices or anything. So I was able to forge friendships with people who, didn't have their preconceived notions because I used a device.
Very well said, Miss Jennifer. Very well said. Were there specific people, practices, or routines that gave strength and hope?
I think I actually did uh, quite a bit of yoga. That was definitely very helpful in allowing myself to relax and live in the moment. Uh, but I also think like going back to my coworkers at the Independent Living Center and that community of disabled people who really took me under their wings and allowed me to learn at my own pace without pressuring me or shaming me or understanding things differently.
Indeed. Let's talk about the faith, purpose, and growth. How did your sense of purpose shift after your diagnosis?
How did my sense of purpose shift?
Yes.
Well, initially I wanted to be a DJ on the
Yes.
radio, but obviously the cadence of my voice changed and is what it is now. It used to be a lot smoother, and it became clear that that was not in the cards for me. So I switched my focus to writing, to English, because that was something I had always uh, enjoyed doing and really found um, fulfillment in.
Indeed interesting, Miss Jennifer, and we salute you for sharing your story to the world. Did you experience a spiritual awakening or growth through this journey?
That's a really interesting question because I went to a religious grade school and high school, and I felt very secluded by um, by religion for a long time. So when I found yoga, it was definitely a place where I felt a connection to God without having to uh, be a part of organized religion.
Miss Jennifer, how was your definition of strength and success evolved as a result of your being through?
Oh gosh, I think strength and strength and success. And now you make me cough. I've definitely evolved for me more. Um, sorry.
No worries. Go ahead.
Uh, Definitely evolved more for me in the past few years because I am looking at my success in ways that are different from the traditional views of success because I also need to be mindful about my energy levels and what I have energy for. So, excuse me, even though I may want or I could, in theory, do a lot more on social media or podcasts even or whatever or marketing the book, I also have to recognize that I have to spend my energy wisely because otherwise it all catches up with me and I'm out for the count for, for weeks.
Indeed. Interesting, Miss Jennifer. Let's talk about connection and community. What kind of feedback or connections have you received from readers who see themselves in your story?
Great question. So there was one woman who came to one of my events and she said she had several invisible disabilities and she really appreciated my book because it was the first time she had been seeing, which really uh, resonated with me and meant a lot because that was part of the reason why I wrote it because when I was going through all this, and this was 1990, so the internet wasn't a thing yet. Uh, I was very isolated, and because Friedrich's is so rare, I'd only ever met one other person with FA, and I only knew her for like 3 months, uh, and then I didn't meet anyone else until I moved here to San Diego in 2001.
Miss Jennifer, what advice would you give to someone newly diagnosed who feels overwhelmed and uncertain?
It's easy to look everything up online and see the bad stuff that could happen, but it's really important to keep in mind that Friedrich's ataxia, or you could say any disease, is different in almost every person who has it. So what happens to somebody might not happen to you. You just don't know. And so you really have to think of, okay, this is what I have. What do I do with this? And kind of make adjustments. And really, I think big thing is I really want people with any sort of disability to remember and keep in mind that they have value and they're worthy of everything they want.
Indeed, we are worthy in everything you want. Congratulations for being brave, Miss Jennifer Gasner.
Thank
And
you.
you are most welcome. We salute you for being you. So, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and of course my book 101 review in its fifth season, comedy 101 in its second season, and food 101 in its fifth season as well, geography 101 and love letters in third season, and my mental health 101 as a my baby podcast, movie 101 review and music 101 in its fourth season, people, fourth season, and science 101 and sex 101 in its first season as well. So please do listen wherever you listen your podcast. Miss Jennifer, if you could speak to your younger self at the beginning of this journey, what would you say to her now?
I would say, like, don't believe the hype. Don't believe the idea that because you have a disability, your life is over. You, your life is full of potential and full of opportunity and ways for you to live a fulfilling life, even though you've whatever you've been told or seen in your life means disability is bad. It's not a bad word.
Miss Jennifer Gasner, again, thank you so much for being you. Thank you so much for sharing your empowering book to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your book itself?
Yes, thank you. You can find my unexpected life, finding balance beyond my diagnosis on Amazon or wherever you buy books. It probably won't be in a physical store, but you can order it from anywhere. Please uh, do review it if you purchase it. And you can follow me at uh, Jenny G. Writer on Instagram and Jennifer Gasner, author on LinkedIn or
Ye-
Facebook. I'm sorry.
yes, people, let's support Miss Jennifer Gasner because if you support her, more and more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Miss Jennifer, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. This was great.
More to come, people. See you soon.